Hello, friends. I'm truly excited to share with you that I'm hosting my first online summit. It's called Boost Your Child's IQ and EQ. Too often, parents focus primarily on activities to enhance one of them, either their child's thinking skills or their emotional intelligence. Or they get into discussion of which one will have a greater influence on success in life. But why don't we give our kids the ultimate advantage by improving both? So on October 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Zoom, two amazing speakers will give us actionable advice on how to boost both our kids' cognitive functions and their ability to understand and manage emotions. If you're a regular listener of the podcast, you may already know them, the brain engineer St. Rappaport and Dr. Talia Jackson. These two charming ladies have been my guests on the show, and judging by the downloads of these episodes, you guys are definitely interested in what they have to say. During the event, they'll go deeper into these topics and they'll give you even more tools for your parenting toolbox. And you'll have the chance to ask your own questions, share your own struggles, and seek advice. Save your spot by visiting the link in the show notes and show up live on October 11th or get the replay if you can't make it. But it's important to register for the summit so I can reach you and send you the link. This event is completely free, but it won't be aired on the podcast. So if you're interested, you have to take action. I cannot wait to meet you guys live. Hi, I'm Billy, and this is the Unlock Your Child's Full Potential podcast. I'm a mom of 3 lovely girls, and I'm looking for answers. I'm looking for ways to fill the gaps left by the school system and teach my kids the lessons that are going to prepare them for real life. I want to learn practical tips that I can use to raise capable and confident young people who are kind, caring, and authentic, and who bring value to the world. I know it's a lot, but I think as parents, we have the unique role of nurturing the potential of the special human beings entrusted to our care. We can't expect school and the teachers to do everything, and we don't want to let the environment decide who our kids become. It's up to us to coach our children on how to be successful and fulfilled. That's my goal here, to talk to as many parents, educators, experts, you name it, and ask the questions, look for the universal principles, find as many tools as possible to be a better parent, and give my kids a head start in life. If that resonates with you, join me every Wednesday and let's inspire each other to create an environment where our children can blossom into the best versions of themselves.
There are times when I feel a little bit low on confidence, even though I coach people on confidence, remember, because even though most powerful women temporarily can lose our powers, right? So in those moments, I'm going to remind myself and say, hey, Lucy, that's not you. Go back and embody the confident version of you. So I kept my name as a reminder that there is always confidence inside of us and that it's just a decision.
Hello, everyone. Today, my guest is Lucy Liu, a global business strategist and a certified life coach, helping business owners and high-performing women unstuck, kiss overwhelm goodbye, cultivate rockstar confidence, see clarity, reach dream goals, and live an epic life. She is an unshakable optimist, wife, mother, easygoing entrepreneur, and international motivational speaker. Lucy is the author of 2 international best-selling books and the host of The Lucy Liu Show, a podcast she describes as the fueling station for your mind, business, and life. Hi, Lucy. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Billy. I'm so excited to be here.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room first. You share the same name as a celebrity. Has that helped you or hindered you in some way?
Wow, that's a great question. That's how everything started. So, as many of you may already know, Lucy Liu is the name of a celebrity, and she is so amazing. She is an artist, a director, actress, superstar. I really loved her. But having the same name as a celebrity in my early years really gave me the sense that I was behind. right? She was already famous and I was nobody. And I just always felt like I was chasing a target ahead of me, but I would just never, ever get there because I'm already behind. So, in that sense, I actually dropped myself out of high school so that I can go to college earlier. Remember this feeling of always being behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just always felt like I was less than someone else. And you can imagine if you have ever been in a situation, right? For you, that might be different. But for some people, they think their name is too common, too hard to pronounce, too easy sometimes can cause you problems too. I was talking on another podcast and the host had a really general name like Jane Smith, right? And she was talking about how her bank account got shut down because the name was too common and someone else in that name was doing fraudulent activities. So whatever it is, the reason for you might be different, but there's always times where we feel less than someone else when we compare ourselves to others and feel that we are not good enough. We are not as good as someone else. So I think as I aged, and of course that comes with wisdom, I hope, I realized that it's all about making decisions. Being enough is a decision. Being good enough is a decision. And having confidence is a decision. Because actually, having this name used to be my biggest hindrance. I hated it. I hate the fact that, I was afraid. I'm from Los Angeles. So I actually even hated using my name to book restaurant reservations because they would ask, oh, are you the Lucy Liu coming in?
Yeah.
Right. So I always had this problem and it was my biggest hindrance in life. I just thought I would never go anywhere. My life would just be normal.
Has it crossed your mind to change your name?
Yes, in the beginning it did. But actually, in the end, I actually kept my name. So Lucy Liu is actually my maiden name. And even after I got married, I still kept my name because I turned it into an asset. I want it to be a reminder to myself that I choose very intentionally to be the confident version of myself instead of comparing myself and shrinking myself. So I love that. Now, there are times when I feel a little bit low on confidence, even though I coach people on confidence, remember, because even though most powerful women temporarily can lose our powers, right? So in those moments, I'm going to remind myself and say, hey, Lucy, that's not you. Go back and embody the confident version of you. So I kept my name as a reminder that there is always confidence inside of us and that it's just a decision.
Would you tell us what exactly you do to remind yourself about that confident part of you? Like
Absolutely.
when you're down, what's your routine?
I love that question because think of a phone, right? Even though phones are really nice and upgraded now, there are still times maybe it gets stuck that you need to reboot your phone, or like a computer, like you need to reboot your computer once in a long while. And I think we as human beings, we have to intentionally reboot ourselves as well. So there are times when you are stuck, then you have to look for ways to reboot yourself. And there are so many ways out there. You can go to events, you can read a book, you can listen to podcasts. There's so many modalities and resources are readily available. And you just have to remind yourself that resources are there. All you have to do is just to use these resources. For example, we eat 3 times a day. That's fueling our physical body. But what are you doing to feed your mind? Right? People always ask me, hey, Lucy, how do you stay motivated? Well, I listen to motivational speeches every single day. because I need that fuel. That's food for my brain. That's food for my mind, so that I'm waking up positive. So I'm waking up with the intention to have a positive day. I'm waking up to do good for society, right? And that's why when you have these whys, when you have these reasons, like if I were to focus on, I'm nobody, right? No one's going to listen to my podcast. Well, if you start having these negative self-talks, it's all about you. It's about you.
Mhm.
Then it gets scarier. Then your fear becomes bigger and it becomes this monster. Whereas if it's about other people, then your fears begin to shrink. Like, we are here, we're putting this podcast, right, Billy? You have this amazing podcast. You put it out so that the moms listening can feel their mind, right? And then they can pass this on to their kids.
Exactly. I love that. Starting your day with intention to feel good and be confident and bring value to the world. I know you model that to your daughter, your own daughter, but what do you do at home?
Exactly. I don't teach her. I model it to her because they are the reflection of our shadows. It's like a mirror. So a lot of people, they don't want their kids to be loud or yelling at them. And that's when you need to reflect on what you are doing. Like, I never yell at my daughter. It's so hard, let me tell you. And I have maybe once or twice yelled at her, and she would immediately call me out. You're like, Mom, you were scary. Like, you were loud, because that's not me. I usually never yell at her. So then I would apologize to her. I would say, okay, I'm sorry for being loud, but I was loud because of what you did. So we communicate as adults. Even though when she was like 3 years old, I would go down at her level and communicate to her as if we were friends, or as if we are really having a conversation, not just demanding her certain ways. And when I want something from her, what I usually do is that I give her two choices. I always offer her two choices that I'm okay with either, so that I don't get a yes or no answer. If I want her to shower and read, I'm not going to say, are you going to read now? She's going to say, no, I don't want to read. So I would say, well, are you going to read first or read after you shower?
Does that still work now that she's 11? Because I can see with my kids that they start to negotiate. They offer a third and fourth option. So it gets a little trickier. So how does it work with you? Is she still okay with two choices?
Well, that would depend on if the third choice is acceptable for me, right? If not, I would say, well, look, other kids don't have choices. Their moms don't give them choices. You're very lucky that you get this choice. So
good point.
Go ahead and make a decision. You're the decision maker. You get to make the call. You're the boss here. Come on, make a decision. And in that way, you're also teaching them about making fast decisions, because I think being able to make fast decisions is also a really important value in life to have.
I love that. It really is, because we tend to overthink so many times. And it's all about taking action. And with that in mind, how do you encourage her to try new things and make mistakes, to not be afraid of it?
I think the best way for them to do that is you try new things yourself. Like when I try new things, I tell her, I was like, hey, mommy have never done this, but I'm going to give it a try. Even food, for example, I'll tell her, I've never had this, so I don't know if it's good enough, but let's try it. If it's good, we'll have more. If it's not good, we'll just eat less. So everything new, I try with her, and I let her know that it's okay if we don't like it, but we have to experience it in order to make a decision.
I love that. With such simple choices in life, we still show them how we try new things.
I absolutely believe everything in life is made up of all the decisions, the daily tiny little decisions we make along the way that adds up.
Yeah,
So
that's
a lot
true.
of us think we're not making decisions, but in fact, we're making decisions all day long, right? Where are we going? Which shirt we're going to wear today? What we choose to do each day. It's just some of them become routine that we don't really think about it. But in reality, we're still making those choices. We're still making decisions. And every decision you make today, you should be able to thank yourself. Like when 3 years later, you would say, oh, in hindsight, I really made that great decision. So you want to empower yourself to make more decisions that you will look back and thank yourself for. And that's how you should make decisions. And well, your kids are watching. When you do that, they're watching and they understand that it's okay to make bold moves, and it's okay if it doesn't work out, because we just never know. Something that seems like a failure today could be the exact reason you succeed tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a learning opportunity. You mentioned feeding your mind and that you watch motivational videos every day. What does your daughter do? Does she have a routine herself?
Before I go to sleep, I write my daily gratitudes. And when we're just in bed, tucking her in, I always tell her to say something in the form of gratitude as well. Like, what was she grateful for that day? So that she's constantly looking for the positives throughout her day. Because we want to set her up in that mindset of positivity. It's so easy to overlook the small wins, the beautiful things that are happening along the way throughout our days. And then when we have this open mind and open eye about how beautiful each and every day is, our world is different. We see a beautiful world.
I've done that. And I find it that when you know that at the end of the day, you have to write the 5 things you're grateful for, during the day, you search for them. So you find good things that are happening that otherwise you won't be able to recognize. So I love that practice.
Exactly. And sometimes, because my daughter doesn't have her own cell phone yet, sometimes we're in transportation or in the car, like I'm listening to motivational speeches. She's kind of forced to tune in. In that way, I know she's picking up positive things as well.
Awesome. I love it. I think that as parents, we should take some time and think about the young adults we want our offspring to grow into and nurture the behaviors that would lead them there. What are the values and beliefs that you want to instill in your child and that you think will benefit her most in her life?
I love this question because we as human beings, we're all different. We're all unique. And if you're listening, you're remarkable and you're unique in your own ways. And so are our kids, the next generation as well. Everyone's here for a reason, for different meanings. And I want her growing up to know that she deserved to live an epic life by design, by her design. She deserves all the beautiful things in life, and that she gets to decide what she wants to do in life. And there's no right or wrong. Whatever she wants to learn, that's her choice. Again, that's her making her choice. And even if she pivots in the future, that's still okay. At least she had the experience and she's still going to take away valuable lessons.
And you mentioned you want her to be a confident young girl. And I think that's very important in order to prepare kids to deal with all the social media drama of what other people think of them and talk about them and how they respond. Do you have any plan in mind to nurture that high self-esteem?
Again, I don't do anything on purpose, but she is watching me. I show up confidently, I speak confidently, and I act confidently. That's how she acts. That's
Okay.
how she reacts to situations as well. I've had a compliment from one of her best friend's mom, and she said, you know what? My daughter has become so much more confident after becoming friends with your daughter. And I
Oh,
think to
that's a great
me, that is the
compliment.
best compliment because your surroundings will really determine who you are. So if you are surrounding yourself with confident people, confident messages, just what you are taking in, then that's going to build you, right? And
Yes.
my daughter, it's funny how you mentioned all the social media or bullying. She tells me, she said, Mom, if one day the school calls you and then I'm ever in trouble, it's probably because I stood up for someone else getting bullied. That's what she told me.
Oh, she's so
Because
sweet.
because she's very righteous, and she says she's confident enough she's going to help someone in need, and she's going to stand up when she sees something that's not right. That's how I am, and that's exactly what she sees, and she feels that's the right way to be. But again, I don't ever tell her what's right or wrong because that's her life. But of course, we're teaching her morals, and we're teaching her our priorities and values. We tell her what we value, and then she will see and pick up the positives.
Yeah, I also agree that the best tool is just modeling the right behavior. But it's so hard sometimes. I'm not always confident. I'm not always kind. But yeah, they do watch us all the time. So we got to be careful what we model. As a life coach focused on creating lasting change, I'm sure you put a lot of attention to goal setting. Do you have any tips on how to introduce kids to the habit of goal setting so it comes naturally to them later in life?
Oh, I love that. So of course, goal setting, the traditional goal setting, there is a model that's called SMART goals, setting SMART goals. But what's really important is, I think, the number one reason people fail to reach their goals is because they're not having fun.
Interesting.
So I think it's really important for you and your child to be thinking about, how can you make it more fun? Because when you're having fun, that's when you're going to inevitably reach your goals, right? Of course, we can talk about strategies. We can talk about accountability of having a coach. We can talk about how you can reverse engineer your goal and chunk your goal down to smaller pieces so that it's easier to reach them. Of course, these are techniques, but none of it would have worked if you're not having fun along the way. If it's not something you enjoy and lights you up as a person, none of this would happen, and it wouldn't be long term.
And it wouldn't be satisfying, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
reach the goal and you'll ask, and now what? It's
Yeah,
all in
that's
the
the problem.
process.
Some people think they'll be happier if they make $1 million, right? But if they're not having fun doing, and you see this in the business world all the time, is you pivot, or people, even if they make $1 million, they can't sleep at night. So there's no point reaching that goal if you're not having fun.
Exactly. And it's important to have those goals nonetheless, because so many people drift through life without having a clear vision of where they want to go. So that's why I'm being intentional with teaching my kids, setting some kind of goals. For example, this year we are going to read 40 books or some other number that's appropriate. But still, you have that goal, you choose the books. I'm not choosing the books for you. You're writing it down, you're measuring your success.
Yeah, I love that. And to your point, that reminded me, my daughter hates reading. She hated reading. Like, I tried in every way possible to make her read, and she just hates reading. And then I thought about it. I'm like, hey, what does she like? And then last year, she got really into wolves. She was really intrigued by these beautiful gray wolves. So I was thinking, hey, So I went online and got her these juvenile books, all relating to wolves. And then she just really loved them. And then we set goals, right? Daily reading 30 minutes. Then she was having fun reading this book with a wolf on the cover. So when we set goals, yes, we try to reach the goal. We try to accomplish this goal, but then it only works when she's having fun.
Brilliant. I love it. And maybe when she gets into the habit of reading 30 minutes a day, for example, she'll continue even after she's over the wolves with some other books.
Exactly.
I'm curious, being an entrepreneur yourself, do you aspire to instill the entrepreneurial spirit in your child too? And if so, how do you do it?
Yes, definitely. She sees it. She loves the freedom entrepreneurship has brought with me and her dad. We're both entrepreneurs and we came from entrepreneurial families. Like my grandpa did business, to give you a sense of the background I come from. And she loves that freedom. Like she loves how we've always taken her to school and picked her up at school together. We can go on spontaneous trips during the weekday where there's less people, not crowded. And we've taken vacations just anytime we feel like it because we do work for ourselves. So in that sense, yes, she sees that freedom, but also in return, I let her know that it's still up to her. She has the freedom to choose her path as well. She doesn't have to be an entrepreneur. She can work for someone else, and that's her choice.
Has she done something by herself already, like selling something or having a small business adventure?
She tries to make things, and I have put them online and it didn't sell. And then that inspired her to try something else. And it's just little things like that to really spark her creativity. And also, I think it's important to let her know that you don't always succeed every time you try.
That's an important lesson.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it so inspiring that she tried again. She wasn't defeated. She thought of something else.
Yeah, that's life.
That. This summer, I had my 9-year-old. She drew birthday cards and she went on the street, approached people and started selling them. And it was such a great experience because she went through all those emotions. Like she was happy that she could sell a few of those. And then she was sad because she got rejected a few times. In an hour or two, she got in touch with what business is.
Yeah, it's really important to go through experiences. Any experience is good for you.
What are some family traditions that you guys have and you think create a nurturing environment?
I think it's just being able to eat together without phones. Like we don't bring phones to the table. So we can have conversations when we sit down and eat together, whether that's at home or at restaurants. Because we see that so often when we're at restaurants and the kid is just looking at their iPad or their phone the whole time while having food. And I think that should really be a time to communicate instead of just sitting there and looking at the screen. So definitely a tradition for us is to be phone free around the food table.
I love that. And are you guys focused on her? I mean, does the conversation always engage your daughter, or it's okay for you to discuss something else and she'll be just watching and taking it all in?
I think both, because sometimes we would talk about other conversations, and if we think it's a topic that she wouldn't understand, sometimes we explain to her what some of the things we're talking about means. But of course, we would only talk about appropriate things in front of her.
Of course, appropriate.
Right.
I just mean that sometimes kids hijack the conversation and they want all the attention. And it's not right for the parents to not have a chance to just converse.
Right. So, of course, if it's important conversation to have, we would let her know that daddy and mommy's in a conversation. We need to discuss something important, and then we would let her know. If not, we'll just usually have a fun conversation that's open-ended.
Awesome. Lucy, is there anything you would like to share that we haven't touched upon yet?
Oh boy, I can share so many tips. But coming back to, I think today, really it's about decision, right? How you want to live your life, how you want to show your kids you can live the life of your choosing. I just want to remind you that anything you do is a decision. Indecision is a decision. Taking action is a decision, and not taking action is also a decision. So go ahead and make a decision to show up as the confident version of you, and make the decision that you get to live the epic life you deserve.
I love it. Thank you for this empowering conversation. I'm sure the listeners would love to hear more from you. What is the best way to connect with you?
If you are on your favorite podcast platform right now, just hit the search button and search for The Lucy Liu Show. That's LucyLiu, The Lucy Liu Show, and hit subscribe so you can get weekly doses of inspiration. And if you are on social, I'm very active on Instagram at MSLucyLiu. That's Miss Lucy Liu. And also the same handle everywhere else on social.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you for having me again. To all the beautiful souls listening or watching, blessings are coming.
Thank you so much for listening and letting me be a part of your day. If you enjoyed this episode or the show in general, please share it with a friend and help me reach more moms around the world. Also, if you find some value in this podcast and would like to help support it, please visit my Ko-fi page. The link is in the show notes. Any contribution is much appreciated. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe so you get notified when a new episode drops. I'll see you next week.